I'm Alex Camp.
I'm Cody Castantino.
And for our project, we chose to implement and create a recycling program within the fraternity houses on campus. Now, the main goal of this project as a whole was to make our community more sustainable. So the first thing that came to mind was the most basic and common form of sustainability, which is recycling. And at first we kind of disregarded this because, there are recycle bins present in HBCC, in the CAF, and in all the main buildings and residential halls on campus. But then we realized that there is no actual program implemented within the fraternity houses, and there are a lot of people living there, so that would be a good place to collect those from.
So we'll be kind of breaking down the process of aluminum can recycling, because that was our primary focus of this, was we're going to take cans and then get money back from them and donate them to a charitable organization within our community. Now, currently, the Alliance community uses Kimball Corporation to collect their recycling materials, which I believe it goes either to Carrollton or Kent, I'm not sure which one they're affiliated with, and then they are collected on a weekly basis. And then through the University of Mount Union, we use J&J Refuse, which is also affiliated with Kimball Corporation. So they collect the same kind of materials and they have the same process. Now, through the recycling process, cans are obviously collected either by the weekly transportation costs or pickups, or through people dropping them off, like we would be doing to raise money. And then once getting to the facility, they're magnetically sorted, just in case for any other debris that may or may not have been with recycling materials. They're then compressed into these cube shapes, where they're then shredded up, resmelted to melt them down, and then they're flattened and ironed out into another sheet of aluminum product that can then be made into anything from cans, aluminum cans, food cans. I mean, you could do aluminum trays and all that. They're multi-use purposes, and the cycle is always ongoing. You can recycle after the formation of the aluminum can has been created. Now, the benefits, according to a study by the University of Massachusetts, 95% of all pollution is avoided, and there is a 95% saved on energy used. And many of the energy used comes through the conservation of bauxite iron. For every about 120 cans, 4 pounds of it is saved, and bauxite is a natural resource, so that's protecting, conserving one of our natural resources as well. And then, according to an article published in Earth 911, 15 million barrels of crude oil are saved each year by recycling annually, so that's a substantial amount. And we'll, right here, the bauxite mining, which is where it all starts, the natural resources get mined from the earth, so the processing that, the pollution, the energy that's used for that, that's saved when you start recycling. The refining process is then avoided, so then there's the save in energy and pollution as well there. And then the primary smelting is avoided. And once it enters the cycle, it continues to go around, but these 3 steps are not done ever again. So that's where the 95% of all energy consumption saved and pollution is decreased at. And we do not have to mine the bauxite iron, which is important because it is a natural resource, and that also means it's kind of non-renewable, because once it's all gone, we can't continue to make more of that bauxite iron. And through this, it enters the cycle, goes consumer purchase and collection, like I stated earlier, shredding, resmelting, ingot casting, sheet production, and then back through the whole cycle. And then through the benefits, you also have psychological effects of why someone would want to do that, and some of the incentives, like we were trying to get it for money and everything like that. So Alex will explain that.
Now, from the benefits, you can create incentives for people to recycle based upon those. And so it's really important to understand kind of people's thought process and reasoning behind why they either do or do not recycle. Since our goal is for everyone to recycle, we need to understand the best ways to motivate and encourage people to do so. So first we looked at the reasons why people don't recycle. And the #1 reason was laziness or inconvenience. I mean, let's be real, we're college students, so we're kind of lazy, but pretty much, as people go to throw out their trash, if there's not an immediate recyclable container right there, they're not going to go out of their way to go find a recyclable to recycle. They're just going to throw it all in the trash because that's what's convenient, that's what's readily available. The second reason we looked at was limited storage space. In small apartments or cramped dorm rooms, you don't have a whole lot of space to put out a big trash can, and then you don't have space for that, so you're not going to have space for a recycle bin. So that's another reason that most people wouldn't really think of. The third reason is that some people don't believe that recycling makes any difference. And this is really crucial because if everybody believed that, then nobody would recycle. And this is also completely untrue, as we all know, because Cody just showed what a huge difference that does make. Now, in a recent psychological study, they found that people think they're under the wrong impression that once something is not in its original form, then it cannot be recycled. For example, if someone crushes a can or dents a can, they think that, well, it's not how I found it, so it can't be reused. But this is not true because it still retains all the same properties and can still be melted down and made into sheet metal and into a new product. So after we looked at why people don't recycle, that helped us discover new ways to eliminate these reasons and create incentives and benefits to them actually recycling. For example, the easiest step would be to make it convenient for everyone to recycle by placing bins everywhere. For example, we talked to Blaine Lewis about placing more bins within the fraternity houses so that it would be easy and convenient for them to participate in our program. Another thing we looked at as we were doing our research, we found a lot of blogs where people talked about, well, if someone gave me money to do this, then of course I'm going to recycle. So there's actually some countries that have fines if you don't recycle. And so people said, well, if we're offered money, this gives us incentive to want to do something good. And like I said, there's already laws and policies available in some countries that cause people to recycle. And the reason we looked at other countries and other universities and what they were doing is so that we could kind of gauge where their successes were, where their failures were, and learn from what they did in order to make our project better based upon what they did. The first thing we looked at was other colleges, so on a smaller scale, similar to what we're doing, and Northern Illinois University found that when they added 5 fraternities to their collection rounds, they tripled the amount of recyclable materials they were collecting. So this just emphasized that what we're trying to do really will make a big impact and be good. And then after that, we decided to take it kind of in a bigger perspective and look at the top 10 greenest US and Canada cities as well as countries. And obviously Switzerland, Austria, and Germany are in the lead with 52%, 49.7%, and 48%. And this really just opened our eyes and showed us that we're lagging behind almost 20%. And this just shows that we can be doing a lot more, any Americans as a whole, and this is why it's very important for each and every one of us doing this project right now to take those actions and take those steps towards sustainability.
Throughout the process, we had a series of various meetings with different people. We had meetings with Kate Cornell, which, as earlier, she's the Director of Student Development and Leadership, Dean Frazier, who is the Academic Affairs Dean, and then we also had a meeting with the Director of the Physical Plant, Blaine Lewis. Through these meetings, the one with Kate, she supported our idea, gave us more ways to carry on the program after we go through this class and try to implement it permanently in the fraternity houses, and how that can happen through, such as like the Philanthropy Board of IFC. They could potentially carry that on for us. And then she then told us to go from there, which would be Blaine Lewis, and he supported us. He would give us our green bins for the program. He would print out our label for us, and we could put it on the can itself to show what our charitable organization is and like our little design and everything. He would give the SAE house, because we currently do not have one. Remember that we don't have one. He'd give us a bin so we can just restart recycling in general. So that was a positive. And then he then told us to head to Dean Frazier to get his permission to bring it to the President's Council to then get the green light to get to the physical plant to gather all the materials and supply them to the different houses. And throughout the process, we had to contact the fraternity presidents, and that's a current process right now because we're still waiting back on them. They were told multiple weeks ago, but he still haven't gotten back. He besides a couple chapters. So that's our final step. Once we get to go ahead with them, then be able to start implementing the program.
And also, once we do collect all of these, we're turning them in, and the money that we get back from that, we're donating to a local charity. We chose Alliance Food Pantry because Mel already does a lot of work with them, and they're very appreciative. Also, we went on a student senate visit to the food pantry last week, and they said that money donations are actually a lot more valuable than food donations because of the program they use, and they can buy a lot of food with it. So we would be also benefiting the community in that way as well after we turn those in. As Cody mentioned, one of our big challenges was through communication. We emailed the presidents right after we met with them, which was like a month ago at least, and we only currently have approval of 2 of them, one of them being his fraternity. So we were really disappointed with the participation on that aspect and just them getting back to us and participating. So that was a struggle, and also just not having enough time by the time that we are starting to hear back from them and getting our approvals and resources. We only have time to do 1 collection. So obviously we hoped to do more than that to make a greater impact, but we have big plans for it to continue, so we can still do that. Also, we had the DST president reach out to us last minute who heard about it, and because they're the only sorority on campus with a house, and said that they would be interested in doing it, but obviously we didn't hear about that till recently, so we couldn't get them in on that just yet. So those are a few of the challenges we faced.
And basically what we're trying to do is get the final results back from the presidents, see if we can get the go-ahead to implement the recycling cans and all that, get our program started, get the footwork done, get it going a little bit, and then make that transition to carry over and pass the torch to another organization, such as, like I said earlier, IFC, who can take control and delegate the jobs and collect it on what we would be doing a weekly basis. So that's where we're at right now. We're just, it's a waiting process.
So right now we're just going to collect the first round from SAE and Phi Kappa Tau, who both approved it, bring those in, get the donations, and then bring that over to the food pantry. So that's all we've got left.